All right, here we go. Let's see if this works. It's been a while since I've done a group activity. Hey, here we are. The screen is on. We did it.
Ooh, wow. Look at that.
Ooh.
Very
and I
fancy.
got the names right. What a genius. Holy moly.
IQ.
Very nice, very nice.
So, yeah, that's the only thing I was nervous about. Making sure that worked initially. Every few minutes there'll be a little timer that comes up, or you can do !! disclaimer to remind you that myself and my guests are not mental health professionals. We're just using our life's experiences to share things with you as streamers and as people. And if you do need help, and especially if you're having suicidal thoughts, there are hotlines in every country. Very, very, very simple to Google. And I have the one for the United States right there. So with that said, if you want to know more about the guests, besides what they're about to tell you, !SOS, and there is a little website that you can click on and go to each of their links. And if you'd like to ask a question during the show, the best way to do it is to put it in the form with SOS form. And if we have the time and the energy, we can get to those questions, we'll do it. So, welcome to my amazing guests. Thank you all so much for coming on today. We have some real streaming powerhouses here today.
Sorry.
So I think we'll just go around from the upper left in a clockwise manner. So, Miss DoomsdayGal, would you care to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Helen. Call me Hells or Doomy. I usually stream a variety of stuff. I do talk about mental health on my own stream because that's something I deal with on a daily basis. So I feel like the more you talk about it, the more you can normalize it and people can maybe get a different perspective, and people that don't suffer from mental health can maybe be a little bit more understanding. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. And Miss Nurri, please.
Oh goodness. Hi. I'm also a variety streamer here on Twitch. What do? I don't know. A good time. I've been told we have really positive vibes over here, and yeah. Thank you, Ellen.
Sweet. Yes, all you gotta do is just keep doing more of these where you come on as a guest, and eventually you'll be a pro at like introducing yourself.
Eventually.
Eventually. All right, Evelyn, please. SistarEvelyn, why don't you go ahead?
Hello, I am SistarEvelyn. You guys can call me Evelyn, Eve, Evie, Sistar. Just don't call me a nun. I'm not a nun. But you can confess me your sins. I'm always more than willing to listen to anyone. Yeah, I'm a variety streamer as well. I just want to put a disclaimer. If you ever tune into my stream, I'm a little bit of pepega and like weirdness mixed into one. Our streams are like entertainment mixed with comfy vibes sometimes. So, yep. Thanks.
Okay, awesome. Thank you all for those great introductions. And again, if you guys want to follow any of these folks, !SOS. SOS stands for Streamers on Streaming, and that's what we're doing today. We're going to always, when we have this show running, it's going to be streamers talking about their streaming experiences in relation to real-life issues, both as a streamer, whether it be in persona or as a person behind the scenes. A lot of people don't realize that, obviously, all of us have to put on a little bit something extra, and we come down a little bit when we're off stream, so everything affects us in different ways, and that's what we're here to talk about today. We will be looking at the chat, and my guess, if there's anything that pops up in the chat that you feel is relevant or you want to loop into the conversation, feel more than free to do so. And you could also type in the chat, obviously. That's super fine. But again, the best way to ask like bigger questions would be !SOS form. So to start off today, first thing I want to say one more time, you all read it. I sent them a doc of the topics, but I wrote a little disclaimer for my guests, so I just want to remind you one more time. For all the topics, only discuss what you're comfortable with, and questions and topics will always be offered with the caveat that they can be declined or avoided without judgment or further questioning. And so chat, if you could respect that as well. If there's something that they'd rather not talk about or get into or answer further, that is their prerogative. So don't feel bad about that. I don't care. So the very first thing we want to talk about The simplest question is, how long have you used social media, and which platforms have you used the most over that time? So I'll just start with me, just to make the starting easy. How long have I used social media? Since it existed. So that's a very easy thing for me. I am of the older variety of humans, so I've been around for each thing coming into existence, and usually I start using it right away so I can get my name on it, and that's why I consistently have very good on every platform that comes out. And I know that if I log in, or if I try to create an account somewhere and very good is taken, that means I have an account there already, which is pretty sweet. And which platforms have I used the most over that time? For me, it's Twitter. I think I have something like 13,000 tweets or something like that. So I've been going at Twitter pretty hard. So so Evelyn, how long have you used social media, and which have you used the most?
How long have I used social media? For a very, very long time. Can't really remember the first. I mean, I remember I used MySpace back in the day. That's as far as I can remember MySpace. Zanga.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Facebook.
I remember all those.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh god.
Yeah. I agree.
I don't know exactly when, but it was pretty long ago. And what was the second question?
Which one have you used the most?
The most? Now I've gravitated towards. It's funny, I don't use any of those anymore. I use Twitter.
I pray that you take this favor.
Recently restarting Instagram and Reddit. I am a Redditor.
Reddit. Yeah, Reddit would probably be my second. Like, I wake up and go to sleep by Reddit. So.
Yes, Reddit.
And I have I have over 10,000 karma. Just saying. So, you know,
I don't even know what that means.
My
I've never used Reddit.
Okay.
Jeez. What does that mean?
Well, when you post on Reddit, like, they can upvote or downvote it, like anyone can. And the most upvoted bubble to the top, and the most downvoted bubble to the bottom. And every upvote gives you a point, and every downvote takes away a point. So
shit.
Only quality from me is all I'm saying.
Okay, quality content on Reddit. Oh, wow.
And I'm not just chat, to be clear. I'm not really flexing. Okay, relax. All right, Nurri, how long have you used social media, and which platforms have you used the most?
I remember using. Is MSN considered a social media? If not, I guess my earliest was MySpace. But like, I was so confused. I was very young when I used MySpace. Facebook was definitely my second largest use of social media, and I was introduced to it at a pretty young age too. But in terms of the one I use most, definitely Instagram.
Instagram, okay.
Yeah.
That's one that I haven't used quite as much. I'm trying personally to up my game. I did actually go outside with a tripod yesterday.
I saw that post,
and I took a picture. And it's actually interesting you mentioned Facebook, because I was recently very, very happy to take the only people left that I needed Facebook for, my family, and I made a Discord server. And I deactivated Facebook. I'm off of it. I'm so happy. It's such a relief, because I just like there's so many things that, like, even if you have good privacy settings, like, there's so many things that people can still find. There's so many ways that they can get to you. And then there's like all these old friends, and I'll tell you, this hasn't happened to me too much, but some of the other streamer friends that I have, when they got like partner and they're getting thousands of viewers, all of a sudden here come all these old friends that abandoned them in the past. So hey, how you doing?
Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook is a good thing to yeet, in my opinion, but we can get into that in just a moment. All right, so Helen, how long have you used social media, and what have you used the most?
Asian Avenue.
What the heck?
My first Asian Avenue. Yeah. Asian Avenue was a thing. I used to have it before it became a dating site. Yeah. I was huge onto that. That was before like MySpace
nice
time
boulder.
too.
Dang.
I was
Very
like
go
OG
Hypers.
like Asian Avenue member. That was like back in middle school. And then that got destroyed, went on to Zup, and then Facebook, and then everything else that came after that. I remember Zanga too. I was part of Zanga. Been a part of like a lot of different communities. I remember when YouTube was on the rise.
Oh yeah.
Like I remember when no one knew about it, and my friends like, don't tell anyone about this. But this is a new like site, you watching videos and stuff. And I was like, okay, the concept, it's gonna blow up. And look at YouTube.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. So like 2005, 2006 when it like came out.
Yeah.
I recall this, and I was like, yeah, it's gonna be a thing, I'm sure. But I don't really feel like doing anything. And let me tell you, 4 years later, when I felt like doing stuff, I regretted not doing it earlier so much.
I think I remember making an account in 2007.
2000.
I think mine was
and
2008.
2007, and then
Mhm.
I go on YouTube, but I don't like not as much anymore. So I would say like Twitter is probably my most used platform right now.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel I can definitely get behind that.
Mhm.
It's really interesting to see like through the years how these different things have come up. And speaking of YouTube, you know, I think it was maybe a decade ago, and I was sitting there like, oh yeah, there was this really old video of a certain thing, and I wanted to share it with somebody. And then I realized, wait, it's not originally on YouTube, and I couldn't remember how we got videos before YouTube. And I was like, there's like E-Bombs World and Newgrounds.
Oh yeah, wasn't it like people used to make websites and then they like upload onto websites?
It was something like that. So I have no idea how things propagated actually. I wager a lot of it was just like they do that and then they do the things they have to do in the metadata to make it appear in Google searches, and then people just find it. But I don't know. I don't remember. And then for anyone who's too young who never knew that, like it's crazy to think. Like I grew up, like I graduated high school in 2005. YouTube came out in 2005, and I'm like, what did I do? I don't know what I did. I don't know how I got videos. So I do find that very, very interesting. So a little bit in talking about Facebook is part of what this question can handle, but how do you use social media now, and how often do you use social media now? And so what I was saying about Facebook, well, there's one thing if you're like thinking you might start getting more popular on platforms or like become a bigger content creator or whatever, and these people will appear. That's one thing. But then there's also your like very valid privacy concerns. And when like people from that world can see what you're doing, they have a tendency to like come and visit now and then. And I get super paranoid that they're gonna like say, oh, do you remember that thing we did on such and such a road in such and such a year? And I'm like, my parents live on that road, don't say that. And I have to like delete it and make, you know, so there's like, Facebook has this interesting thing because it's very interlinked with your personal life. Because most of us made it, like created our Facebook or joined on it or made an account before we thought about doing all of this stuff. So we didn't think necessarily about all the things that could happen and the links that you could make. So I always find that very interesting. And then also in terms of what you share, and in terms of how many friends you add. I remember when I was in college, a lot of the girls that I knew, they would add everybody. They would, oh wow, you all three have that bear, don't you?
Sorry.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I noticed it
Damn.
while I
I'm
was like
first one to notice. Congrats.
and I'm like, let me
All
move
right.
mine over.
All right, who wants to sponsor me for getting the bear? I need to get it too. So yeah, like there's a lot of those kind of concerns. So this question is how do you use social media now and how often, and especially how different is it than before you were doing content creation? So we'll go backwards, Helen, if you want to start with an answer, and then anyone can jump in at any time.
I feel like Facebook is so like for my normies in real life, friends, family members. But the thing is, they don't know jack shit because I don't use Facebook.
Right.
So it's like they don't know anything because I don't use it, right? I only use Facebook because of Messenger.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have
Same.
to
I
connect
A lot of
that
people say that.
to like
They use Facebook for Messenger.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why I still had it. That was the only reason.
Yeah, so I'm really tempted to just get rid of Facebook. Like the only way to know what I'm up to is if you actually follow me on Instagram. Because like when I like go live and want to like interact with like people in my community, I'm posting on Twitter, Instagram, a Discord. Those are like my main 3. So like there's some of my in real life friends that follow me on Instagram. Do I know if they look at my stuff? I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
interesting though.
I definitely feel that. Yeah, that's been a big change for me too. You end up just abandoning platforms because it's irrelevant to you
Mm-hmm.
at this point. So in terms of now, so you use those 3. How do you use them? What do you do? Like, do you use strategy, try to adapt to the meta to get more followers, or do you just do whatever the hell you want?
Now I feel like people would think I'm trying to like grow with those platforms, but really I just post things I like when I feel like it, and I browse through things that I like when I want to. So I'm not always constantly on it. Because before, actually funny enough, I developed like a body dysmorphia issue a couple years back because of Instagram.
Wow.
So
Really?
So when I noticed, I was like, wow, like I'm actually comparing myself to these people, and like I know for a fact that they don't look like that in real life because everyone, you know, edits all of their damn photos and everything. So I started unfollowing people that I noticed, like instead of like appreciating their posts, I would like really like just look at the photo and like attack myself. And I was like, okay, that's really toxic. Like I want social media to be more of a positive experience. Like, why am I doing this to myself? So I actually took a little short break from Instagram because of that.
Damn.
I will say Instagram is like the worst social media in my opinion.
Yes,
when
I
it comes
also
to
agree with that.
self-esteem. Yeah.
I agree with that too.
Damn.
I think like it depends on like now when I'm on Instagram, I do have like a way more positive experience because I'm purposely like looking at content that I enjoy. So there's a lot of like Animal Crossing stuff on my explore page.
Hell yeah, let's
and those
go.
are things that make me happy. A lot of cats, a lot of cute kitten videos, you know, like some cute merch here and there, like things that basically just make me happy. Yeah.
That's so yeah, there's an argument. I used to stick to this a lot, but I've been trying to rethink it a little bit. But there's an argument to be made, I think, in terms of how these things affect you based on your personal curation of your own feed. Exactly. Not only what you post, but who you follow, what you see. And it sounds like you're super duper using that to your advantage here. But there are some people who I know for sure, essentially, it's weird to say, but they have to follow a whole bunch of people, whether it's because they're like a manager of social media or something, or there's all these connections that they made, or sponsors have them follow things and link with people, or they're on a stream team or a stream management company, and they have to follow all these things. Yeah, so it's hard for them to curate, and they can't do it. But there's always this comparison I've been hearing lately, comparing the idea of, well, you can just choose who you follow. People have been comparing that to the, well, you can just mute your comms. Because it seems to some people like a similar argument, that you're not getting to the core root of the issue.
Right.
You're just hiding.
Pushing it away, yeah. Yeah.
So I definitely find that very interesting. But Nurri, I was watching you as they were talking. Do you have a different opinion of Instagram, or are you on the same page?
I think like I used Instagram primarily in a healthy way to begin with. I don't know. I realized early on that I should never compare myself to other people. It's like you might be comparing your level 1 to someone's like level 9,000. You know what I mean? So like I think ever since I've realized that, I've just never used social media in a toxic way. The only time I came close to feeling like social media was truly toxic for me was this year on Twitter, because of everything going on, and that's when I've been really affected by social media. So that's the only reason why I'm just glad Helen has found a healthy place with Instagram
Yeah.
because I know how toxic it can be. I had a girlfriend which I genuinely convinced her to just get off Instagram because she did what Helen did too. The body dysmorphia by comparing herself to everyone unrealistically and stuff like that. So
hard though, because there's some people as like Instagram influencers, and I like the content that they post because of their message.
yeah.
But then you
Yeah.
realize that when they talk, like I watch their vlogs, like their YouTube content, and they even express like, I hope like they realize like everything is, you know, a facade.
Yeah.
They're just portraying this image. It looks like they're always happy. They're living the glamorous life and shit. None of it's real.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you never know what's going on behind the
Yeah.
scenes.
100%.
That perspective is super duper important. And I think it's super duper important to apply that to all of them. Every social media network.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter how personal or impersonal it is. Like you can do the same application to Facebook that you did to Instagram, that you do to Twitter. Like everyone everywhere, it doesn't matter if they have 0 or 1 followers or 1 or 2 million followers. Like everyone does this thing where they try to put their best selves forward. And I think the very interesting thing is what a lot of people may not realize is even when you get those real posts from people, which a lot of times they are more genuine, some people are saying those things and doing those things also to adapt to the meta. They may feel those things for real, whatever it may be, like, oh, I'm suffering from this, blah, blah, blah. But perhaps, like, it's interesting that they're posting it all when everyone else is.
Yeah.
They weren't posting it when no one was. So, like, you can look back to the first people who were doing it at that era or whatever it might be. And then you see everybody else like, yeah, we really need to do this. We really need to do this. And I've even found myself guilty of it, even though I do my best to only tweet, especially things that I have conviction towards and feel very strongly about. And hopefully people can tell that by the way I write things. Because there's one, like, if I write a post and it's like all lower caps and it has like Zoomer words in it, like I'm being silly.
You're trolling, yeah.
Yeah, but if I'm writing like proper grammar, spelling, punctuation, and like it's exactly 140 characters or whatever the hell the thing is now, like that was me taking my time to craft this perfect message of exactly how I was feeling very strongly at the moment. So there's like a nice, like very visible difference between the things that people post, but for a lot of people, it comes from the same place of staying relevant. And I think that's kind of the next big thing we're going to talk about here a little bit in terms of the pressure to stay relevant, which is like the biggest thing. Like, so it's really interesting because Helen and I have, she did it, like she popped off, but Helen and I have a similar past of doing a bunch of stuff on YouTube. So like even back then, before live streaming was like a super duper thing, YouTube was the thing, and you constantly had to adapt and change and try to push towards all these different things so people didn't forget about you. Because losing relevance is the death of the creator. It's the death of the influencer. And by the way, the word influencer, I hate it, but it's also the most technically correct thing about
like
what
I get
do.
it.
Trust me, I feel the same way about that.
So yeah, it's really rough. But so the next question, kind of related to this, is on a scale of 1 to 100, where 1 is detrimental and 100 is overwhelmingly positive, how would you rate the impact social media has had on your mental health? And I'll give you a second to think about it while I take a sip because it's numbers.
This varies. on a
Okay,
daily
listen,
basis.
I'm Papega.
That's
What was
rough.
that scale again?
1 to 100.
1 to 100. 1 means it annihilated you. You're like crippled. You had to take a
100
break.
is like perfect, like happy.
Okay.
Yeah, 100 is like it made your entire life amazing and you're super duper great.
I see.
Oh.
Okay.
For
So-
me personally, that scale fluctuates.
Yeah.
So at different times.
Yeah, because like, okay, let's be real. Like before COVID, right? I don't think it was as bad as what has come forth out on social media during this time, especially with all the sexual allegations.
Right.
And then, streamers passing away. Depending on the timing, like some days are okay, and then some days like that, it's like it takes a huge toll, and it's pretty fucking heavy.
Yeah, that's
Fucking
for
Twitter
sure.
put me on an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
basically what it is.
It's been crazy, and it's, you know, a lot of it obviously bled over back and forth between Twitter and Twitch with everything that's been happening, because with the allegations, it's affecting people's, you know, content creation careers, or and you know, I don't really like to say it's affecting their careers, because for the guilty perpetrators, they, you know, they shot themselves in the foot
Right.
or the chest or the head. You know, it's like they totally did it to themselves. But for everybody else who's being impacted by it, like it's not as clear what it means, and so that's why, like, you don't exactly have to put a number to it, but that's kind of what this question is going for. Like, overall, positive or negative, like, how do you feel in your lifetime of using social media that it has impacted you? Like, do you think it's had a strong impact, neutral, or a negative impact overall?
I think it depends on the platform. At least for me, it does.
Okay.
Like when I used Zanga, it mostly affected me in a positive way because it was a way for me to vent and release my teenage angst, you know, and then like share whatever was on my mind. Even though now it's like kind of embarrassing, cringy to look back on and read old posts, but like, you know, I was younger then, and it was a good way for me to help vent. But I think if you're talking about a platform like, as Helen was saying earlier, Instagram, like I think if you're a young impressionable girl, you see like hundreds of beautiful women on your feed, and you just you see that, and then you think, oh, they're so pretty, and like, and then you start comparing yourself, and then that's when it starts having a detrimental effect. I didn't really use Instagram much back then, but I can see how it would affect other women, other girls. Now, I'm at that age, not gonna say what age, but boomer enough to say that I've come to a place of self-acceptance with how I look, and I do filter my photos. I will say that much. So if anybody thinks about comparing to me, like, you are being catfished. I will say that much.
At least you're being honest.
Yep.
That's true. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then Twitter is like Helen said earlier, emotional roller coaster. Just like,
Yeah, it's very often a disaster. What about you, Neri? I've given you a little bit of time to think about it because it looked like you had the gears turning about how it's affected you. What do you think?
I think overall, it's been a pretty positive experience. I think I'll say it again. Twitter is the bane of my existence. It's the only one that's actually made me feel extremely negative about some things, and actually because of like the essence of Twitter, you tweet what's on your mind, right? You say your thoughts, you say your opinions, and unfortunately it's actually like bit me in the butt a couple times. Not a couple, I'd say one time, but it was a big bite in the butt, if that makes sense. So like that really affected, because I had good intentions behind the tweet. I didn't mean to mean anything from it, but then someone came forward and was like, hey, I'm kind of disappointed in you, and I was like, what? And it just crushed me, because that was never my intentions, and I'm like, all right, I'm probably gonna keep these things to myself, because they're innocent thoughts, but I can see how it could be seen as something else, or intended in a different way.
With Twitter, people can always
flip your words.
Yeah, you mean it one way, but they read it as something else.
Yeah,
I see that so often. Yeah,
and it's unfortunate.
Yeah,
I've seen it happen a lot.
It does, and how people handle that in terms of how they tell you is going to really affect how you take it. Because if somebody DMs you and says, I'm really disappointed in you, here's why, instead of what they should have done, which was, hey, I just want to know what your intention was with what you said.
Yeah.
You could explain it, and then they could say, "Well, hey, listen, the way you said it, it sounds like this."
Yeah, yeah.
They could have presented it a lot better, but of course they were like, definitely. Our names are going to be wrong for a minute.
For a minute, yeah.
Hello, Evelyn.
Hello.
I'm Nurri.
Goddamn. So like it's a big mistake, buddy. You're canceled. Thanks, James. If somebody sent me that message, I would laugh first, and I'd say, okay, not I know what I did. I would say which thing that I said was the bad thing.
Yeah.
You're like, that sounds like a personal issue.
Yeah.
That sounds like a problem for you.
Yeah. I think it just really hit me more because like it's like the one time I expressed myself in like a more like edgier kind of topic, and it's the one time it bites me in the butt. So that's why I was like, fuck Twitter, man.
Yeah, it's God. Well, here's the interesting thing, and I know that like we're sitting in here mostly in agreement about that now, but had you said Twitter is bad or Twitter is like this negative thing for me a few months ago, or even maybe a little bit more than a few months ago, I would have been like, what are you talking about? I love Twitter.
Yeah,
like
same.
I get super good replies. I get welcome back, Helen. I get
Sorry, that was my mom. She needed like emergency help, and I was like, oh god, like right now.
Oh, okay. No worries, no worries.
We're good, we're good.
So it's like I didn't understand how people were having trouble on Twitter. But the two things oh, sorry, one second. Let me just answer this real quick. Okay. Otherwise I'll forget, and I opened it already. Okay. So it's the biggest thing that I found that was detrimental was people were using Twitter in different ways, right? And the way I used it is I followed very specific people that I wanted to follow, whose lives I cared about, whose content I cared about. If they said an annoying thing once or twice, like once the second time happened, I either unfollow or muted, like immediately. And that's just if it was like very slightly annoying more than once.
Shit, you do that too? I thought I was the only one
like
that did that.
I usually like if it's somebody I know better, I usually will mute rather than unfollow, because I personally know for the people that like I really admire or people that I care about, if they unfollow me, it strikes me right in the heart, especially if they don't tell me why.
Yeah.
But it's always been interesting. So the people that I have found, most of the people that definitely said that Twitter is a negative experience do two things. They always click on tweets and read the replies, and they use
guilty.
They use the trending or explore page as well. Now,
God,
I
replies
personally
are-
can never understand why you would use that trending or explore page, because it's literally full of everybody who realized that they don't feel like posting on Facebook anymore, so they'll take their same dumbass stupid drivel and post it on Twitter about their opinions that are, people say that an opinion can't be wrong, but that opinion is wrong.
Yeah, I know
like
what you mean.
there's a bad take, and there's just, what the hell are you talking about? So like they do that like very, very often. But I think a lot of us don't do that. What's that?
I think that there's this quote where like, an opinion is like an asshole. Everyone has one.
It's true. I think that's the one part of Twitter that I actually don't use, is like having a conversation like that where people are just throwing in their opinions, and then it creates this whole entire feed. I actually don't touch that side. I see it, but because I'm choosing whether I want to interact with that or not, I actually usually skip
That's
that
a good
part.
choice. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Honestly, some people's replies are literal aids, and I think
Exactly.
it's just a pure it's just
It's
a pure
true.
fact that they're behind a monitor, you know, and they can say whatever they want.
Same with concept with trolls, right? Like when they
Yeah.
come into your chat, they're like, haha, I'm hiding behind my monitor. You don't know anything about me. I can say whatever the fuck I want. Here you go.
Literally, they like, yeah. There's no thought behind it. It's
There's
just
no filter. They just say
there's
whatever
no
they want to
filter.
say.
Exactly. And
It's
I
absolute-
remember I saw a tweet. I think it was Valkyrie's posting. Oh no, it was Pokimane posting her a post of her a DM with Sony, which is Valkyrie's ex-boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
And then some kid was like, "Yo," he tags Valkyrie. He's like, "She's Pokimane sliding in your man's DMs." I was
oh
like,
my god.
"Okay, what? This is so stupid. Why would you say that?" Like,
He's 12.
yeah. I'm just like, really?
that it's
Because he's 12.
I feel so bad for these large content creators with a big following. They get like so many of these kind of comments where people are just
I don't know how
the
they
dumbest
do it.
things.
It's insane.
I was still reeling from that comment. It's so stupid. Like, all right.
it is.
To be straight up, right? So, I either personally know or personally know a personal friend of a lot of the streamers a lot of us watch. And so like for me, like behind the doors and stuff, like you hear these like little stories about, oh yeah, there's this one random on Twitter that did this stupid bullshit. And I just constantly hear all these things about, yeah, this person tagged me and said a thing that made not only no sense, but also had zero relevance to whatever the last thing I said was, where they're like, oh yeah, I really like, I really like whatever, the new Fortnite patch. And somebody's like, oh, I guess you're single.
Oh my god, yeah.
I'm sorry, what? Where did that come from? Like, I don't literally understand. Lulu, thank you for that subscription, by the way. Appreciate it. It's like, it makes no sense. And the reason that I bring this up is I'm telling you, chat. I know you three know very, very well, but I'm telling you, chat. Doesn't matter, big, small, astronomical, non-existent on a platform. You don't know us.
Yeah.
You just you don't. And even like us to each other, yeah, we know each other better than chat knows us, but we still don't even really know each other super well either. Like there's a lot more to us that either we keep close to the chest or it's irrelevant to the friendship, like that you don't need to get on about. And these people think that because they've been following Pokimane since Pokimane was 17 years old, that they know and are entitled to all the information about her life.
Yeah.
That's why those
And
para relationships on like between the streamer and chat is so interesting.
It's called
there's-
parasocial relationship, right?
Yeah.
Parasocial. Yep.
Yeah, sorry,
Mhm.
that's the word. Like
Yeah.
literally, viewers have been watching the streamer for so many years. Like to them, they really believe like, yo, I know her. I really, really know her or him. And then the streamer is like, yeah, I
think
but
you
I
do.
don't know you.
Yeah.
But you
Think
really
know me,
don't.
but you don't.
Yeah. It's so mind-boggling that I think the best term for it, and I think you can apply this to any of the platforms, just replace the name, but the best term for it is Reddit detective. Because people will take your posts, your screenshot of DM, your Instagram thing, your activity feed from somewhere, the fact that you subscribe to this person on Twitch or on YouTube, or that you stopped following somebody. Like there was a whole thing about that.
True.
Like
Oh
they
my
take
God.
every single damn little thing, and then they're like, so since this is happening, I know there's something serious happening behind the scenes. And it's just like
look into everything that you
Cue
do.
the X-Files
Oh my God.
sound.
yeah, it's I can't begin to fathom what goes through a person's mind when they're like, well, this person tweeted this and on Facebook they said this, and I know from a personal friend who knows their assistant who knows one of their mods that she did this thing, so obviously they're a bad person. like, and I can prove it.
Obviously, clearly, according to my evidence.
Logic.
Yeah, and it's and you know what's it's really funny. And I don't know if y'all have had to experience this. But you three know, and a lot of people know that I'm in a lot of places, and people see me, and people know of me, whether or not they know I stream. They have this thing, and it happens to. And if we've got any mods in the chat of other streams, if you mod multiple streams, I know you get this too. And something is happening behind the scenes, and you get a DM. So do you know what's going on? Like, what's the inside scoop? And I'm just like, dude, I don't live with them. Like, what are you talking? I have no idea. I didn't even know something was happening. I've been taking a hike all day. Like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
What is the scoop?
Yeah, I don't understand that. Now, it's one thing if like another streamer does that, because like they actually have a better idea of what I know. But when some random just sends me a DM and they're like, "So I heard you know this person. What's really happening?" I'm like, "What the hell do you mean? What's really happening?" Yeah. Like, I know they got a third arm they use as a wing sometimes. Like, what do you want me to tell you? Like, I don't understand. Like,
and why do you think you're entitled to that information?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Damn,
wait, what did? Man, James has been popping off. But Rob, you are a mod, ergo you know everything that's going on. And that's the thing. That's exactly what they do. And it's like, I can't begin to understand that press for information. But the important thing about this rant is that, like, you think you know people that are content creators, but you don't. You don't know their whole story. You don't know what's going on. You don't know if, like, if they say nothing, like, you don't know if their dog died, if their grandma died, if like they got a job offer, like
what's happening in their real life.
you don't know how
going through stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I hate this question because like it speaks of someone else's entitlement to your personal information, and I think a lot of girl streamers get this a lot. Is, are you in a relationship or are you single?
What's it to you? Literally,
exactly.
What's it to you?
What's it to you? Why
You're
do you
only
think
gonna
you're
support me if I'm single? Huh? Like, is that the case?
It's ridiculous.
Twitch is not a dating site.
Yeah.
It's the silliest thing. And
you're gonna drop me if I'm in a relationship? Okay, thanks for the support.
Exactly. So I have known several streamers, personally and not, that everyone thought they were single, and then they said, "Here's my boyfriend," or "Here's my husband" that I never talked about.
Oh, unfollow, unsub.
They all freak out, unfollow, unsub. You know, like the Amaranth thing. Like, I'm a tier 3 sub, and I bought her a Lamborghini. I can't believe this. This is ridiculous. Like, oh, God.
Biggest example is Nico Lol.
when she exposed that she had a boyfriend, oh my god, her follower count on Twitter just like, Jesus Christ.
Oh really?
Oh
I didn't know
my
she had a boyfriend.
They all thought they had a chance. They all thought they had a chance.
Yikes.
All of them.
Yeah, I've seen other content creators like say the same thing. They're like, "Okay, I'm about to post this, post about my boyfriend. All right, ready for the unfollows."
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And I know, because I've known some streamers who they didn't even really talk about it with even like their mods or their like regulars that they had a boyfriend, because it's irrelevant, right? It's irrelevant. And they revealed it, and these people freak out, and they like don't want to mod anymore. They want to leave the community, and it's all because
they don't want to mod anymore because of.
Okay,
yeah, the whole reason they wanted the sword.
They want to be a mod to get closer to them, to have a better chance of like getting with them.
Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I know a friend that happened to her. It
happened to me.
Oh my god! What?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually insane. When someone is when someone is entitled, and you do something that outside of their control removes their ability to be entitled to it, they lose their fucking mind.
They do, huh?
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's like, it's literally like watching the horror movie, and you don't know which of the people in the room is the killer yet, and then something happens and you see one person and they're just like, it's like, oh shit, it's that guy. that's the guy that's the guy who's got the axe. Like, he's been doing it this whole time. Like, it's actually insane. And that's why, and this is one of the interesting things. I didn't put it on as a question, but It's very relevant when you are starting to get a little bit bigger, or especially you, Nurri, as you were getting close to partner and getting partnered, which also was super exciting. I was so happy when that was happening. People are coming out of the woodwork a little bit. You know, your viewers that have been there for a while, and they're like, "Hey, your chat's getting pretty busy. If you need more mods, just let me know. You know, I can do it." And so you gotta be so careful.
Yeah.
This is so stupid, but you gotta be careful who you pick as a mod.
It's
because
so
there's so many things
100%.
that they can do, and it's super scary, especially as you're bigger and bigger. Like some very interesting ones to me are related to the friends of the offline TV people, like Fuslie and Peter and Sushi Dragon. Like, they got big very fast. Like, for us, we're doing it, you know, we're getting there, doing good. You know, Nurri kind of like took a little bit of a sprint, but you know,
fish, you know, happens along.
but for them, they just like,
yeah, literally,
a lot of them all of a sudden, like, so they had like 2 or 3 mods and they were like their personal friends or whatever, and all of a sudden they're like, oh god, I gotta like analyze my whole freaking community, see who I can trust, because for a lot of them, you have to give a lot of trust. Like, sometimes they actually need to know like your address, and they need to know like specific things because of leaks, because of threats.
I was just gonna actually mention that Mr. Ixclub has told me that they have to be extra careful with who they do decide to mod, because there's a lot of blacklisted words that are associated with leaks, right? And like you really can't just mod anyone at that point anymore. So yeah, it does get really monka-esque really fast.
Yeah, it's Lulu, thank you for that gift, by the way. It's actually insane. Yeah, so, you know, as some of you know, like I mod for Alex, I mod for Peter, I mod for Stefan, and so in some cases it's good to have someone who does mod for a couple, because if there were leaks, hypothetically, then less people have to know things. So, someone in my position, hypothetically, would be able to place the things into place without revealing it to everybody. So, and the really crazy thing is, hypothetically, some of the leaks could have to do with bigger streamers that aren't them. So, like, there's a lot of like protected information that you have to trust these people with. And additionally, for me, because my mind has been an up and down spiral, and that's why we're having this talk. I also share a lot of very personal feelings, and I also share, like, if there's a person that I've had a horrible interaction with, or I know, like, yeah, this person, like, they're actually a piece of shit, like, don't trust them for 1 second. I tell them because it's relevant to me, and they have to know if I get uncomfortable when a person appears in the stream or whatever. So, like, it's very tricky to pick people out to do it. So you have to have all of those like levels of trust, because inevitably something could happen. Even if the person is overall usually good, something could happen that makes them not be able to be a mod anymore, and now they have all this stuff.
To me.
Yeah. So I don't know it, and I asked the question, like, if you, though you don't have to get into any specifics. Damn it. Sorry, Beastin is here and he just made a knocking effect in my ear. That effect is literally there for him. He does it every time. Hi Beastin, I love you. Do you all have any, and again, as vague as you want, stories of something like that happening where you had a level of trust and then shit went down? So feel free, any of you, whoever has it.
I had quite a few.
Oh god.
It's kind of sad because like these are people you trusted, because why else would you give them mod, right? And then as time goes by, it's like one, like literally that mod status like really got to his head, and I noticed like in chat he would never do any mod duties. He would just say something to like basically show, like he would flex that, oh, I got a sword. Oh, Helen, I need you to check your DMs right now. I'm like, I don't want to, but
Yeah.
he would always do stuff like that.
I know.
like,
yeah.
And it wasn't
then-
really important, was it?
Yeah, it was never really important. It was just like, what the fuck? It was so bizarre, and like,
Oh, God,
he
I
really
I
tested the
hate when
boundaries
it's like
off
that.
stream too.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
I wanted to feel
Really,
good,
really-
like yo, I can slide in this girl's DMs, and like chat will see
Yeah.
that I'm told her to check her DMs, and look, I'm exerting my power over this streamer. Look, you
It
know.
That's
becomes
why
like
I
a
hate it when
huge-
people tell me to do something while like,
Yeah.
I'm streaming. It's like there's a time and place for everything.
Yeah.
I'll take a look at it off like after stream, because like I don't want people, especially who are tuning into stream, to feel like, oh, they're way more important than
Yeah.
me, because like
Yeah.
that's not the case. I don't
Mhm.
want anyone to feel like that.
Yeah, I tell
Yeah.
people I check their DMs after stream, unless it's
Yeah.
like really important.
Yeah, and that's why it's really good. Like when you have if you have a mod team that's a little bit bigger and they're communicative with each other, like you have a mod chat on Discord or a DM mod chat or whatever. If something is like desperately needed or solves their problem that they're having right then and there, then you like cheer or like highlight your message. Like, check the DMs, I have the answer, or check the DMs, I have the thing you want. And as long as you only do it for those cases, then it actually has value and weight.
Yeah.
When they want you to check a DM because they wanted to send you a joke or meme or whatever
Mostly
stupid
it's a
bullshit.
meme. It was always a meme.
Yeah, it ruins it for the rest of the mods. Like it ruins it for everybody trying to making sure you have exactly what it is you need. But yeah, Nurri, were you saying you had a couple? Is there any in general you wanted to mention?
I forgot we were talking about mods. Never mind.
Oh.
I was like, in my head, it was just like in people in the Twitch community in general. That
Okay,
had
no,
that.
that's fine too. Yeah, those are
Yeah.
relevant here too.
Yeah.
Oh, I got some, those two. Yeah.
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 Actually, Helen and I got to know each other a little better one day because we both had something to share, and we just got in a call and just talked about the things we had to talk about.
Oh man.
There's like because that inherent trust that you give to mods, you give to streamers too, especially if you're getting closer to them, collabing with them, whatever it may be, and you let them know these like slightly more personal details, and then in a lot of cases it's you give an inch and they take a mile. Like it happens very often with like just a regular you're talking to in a DM or somewhere, or a mod or another streamer, or even someone you mod for or you're a VIP for. Like and this is a problem I have. I have a big problem with boundaries, and it's not usually pulling information. It's me telling them stuff, especially if I'm like pissed about something, because if I'm being honest, I don't really get super mad very often. But when I do, I gotta tell one person at least. Usually I could just like tell my mom or my brother, who's like, they don't give a shit about all this. But sometimes it's just like, oh, they won't understand. There's this one streamer friend that I have, or there's this one mod friend that I have. I just gotta tell them this is such bullshit. Like, and I go too far. I've done it plenty of times, and luckily it hasn't really come to bite me yet. But there's a big yet there. Anything could happen, I guess. But now, in terms of this, to relate it back to what we're talking about, understanding this and thinking about the type of information and trust that you give to people, how has that impacted you off stream in terms of worry or wondering how you're going to do a thing, or your overall mental health? Has it been harmful to have to worry about that, or have you been able to approach it in a healthy way? What do y'all think?
Well, that's a heavy question.
Yeah. Well, because it's gonna lead into the next question. So I'm just trying to like make a little segue.
I think whenever you encounter any kind of problems in life, especially when you have like conflicts with people, so whether it's like with these like other streamers, people in chat, your mods or something, like, yeah, in the moment, because you're in the moment, it's like you feel a lot of emotions, and that can take a toll on your health. But for me personally, whenever shit happens, if it comes to a point where I realize that I cannot resolve this issue with this person and we can't move forward, I'm really good at like I just cut it. I just
Me
end it.
too. Yeah.
I don't deal with that bullshit. And that is probably the best thing you can do for yourself is that favor. Because like, why do you want to keep someone who's constantly negative, who is always toxic, and who is not willing to grow and better themselves? Because it will seep into your own life too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's
gonna
very
affect you
important. Yeah, it's very important
Yeah.
to like realize that.
I'm like a super non-confrontational person, so when these things do happen and they have happened, it's hard, like, and it affects me very, very, very emotionally, because it's kind of like I don't want anything, like I don't want to be problematic to them, I don't want to be problematic to anyone else, I just want to like resolve it. And like, unfortunately, it's been where the other party drags other people into it to like talk to me, but not to me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So like, it became super problematic very quick, super emotionally draining, and in the end the other party like acknowledged that, like, yeah, this is kind of stupid, like I think they were just trying to pick at something, I don't know, right? And in the end nothing really got resolved. I guess it was just kind of like they just brushed it under the rug. Okay, let's move on. I'm like, but you just put me that for what? Like,
see, that I already have a problem with that, is because like, why would you get all these people involved when it's between you two? That's already a red flag to me. It's like, that's not a way to go about like actually
things.
dealing with them.
Yeah,
like adding fuel to the fire there.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I think though, something that I'm definitely guilty of is sometimes there'll be a situation happening between me and another person, and then I'll be like, I'll start to think, am I wrong about this? Am I crazy? And so I will mask the name and present it to another person.
Yeah, that's okay.
I do that.
You're asking for
That's okay,
perspective.
though.
that's different though.
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
different from like flat out being like, oh my god, so and so did this to me. Da 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 da. I need you to go message
tell them
right
this.
now.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
not okay.
the tell
That's not
them
okay.
this thing.
Yeah,
not
I was
okay.
talking about like a messenger. Someone was being a third. Yeah,
like a third party actually got directly involved in this situation
when they
Isn't
didn't
that
have to be at all.
When they didn't, yeah. The like, I think the only time I've ever seen that be okay or work is when it's just at such an impasse, but you both know there's a way out, you don't see it, and you bring in a mediator. Seen that work maybe once, but usually
it would work
doesn't.
if both parties are very willing to like actually solve the issues because they want to maintain the relationship that they have, right?
Right.
That's also another key
But the
factor.
thing that I have discovered is that for me, I am remarkably confrontational. I'm the opposite of a lot of people in that sense, and I believe I'm also well spoken and can always present my point very well. So when people still aren't getting it, I'm like, I can only rephrase this so many ways.
Yeah.
And what that means is the conflict is already resolved, but only for them. They have already decided to write you off or be mad at you for however long they're going to be. And that's it. You can't do anything about it. And you're just screwed. And you're just like, I want to make this better. I want to repair this. I liked our friendship or our relationship or whatever the hell it was. Like, I don't know what to do. And I think coming to terms with realizing that is super important, especially for the next thing I'm going to ask, which is coping with what's happening and doing the path to acceptance. So I'll just go ahead and move into that. What methods have you used to cope with social media's impact on your mental health, and which were the most effective? And I see Nurri is using one to try to unblur her camera. Oh man, I was trying to talk so much that it would fix for you.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, like you were like lost your train of thought for a split second because I was like
yeah, I saw you lean in and I was like, oh, okay, I'm trying. No, it's chill. So I think I'll start with this one. the biggest thing that I use to cope with all the bullshit is talking to somebody.
Yeah.
It's usually like either a good / close friend or a neutral party. I pick one or the other usually, but they both have to be somebody that I trust. Because there are some cases where I'm dealing with something and who it is relevant because like they know that person. I know that they just know them the same way I know them, and they're like my friend, and they don't really know, or like they're not really friends with that person. And yes, it can be dangerous, and it can look like I am gossiping, but what I'm really doing is just to try to understand if I have a grasp of the situation, or if it's totally gone, or if I'm just super duper right and they're being stubborn. Like it's trying to like find that balance. And then also more recently, the process hasn't completed yet, but I started the process of getting a therapist myself so I could have a neutral, trustworthy, professional third party to have these discussions with.
It's
So
a huge step,
yeah, and it's not necessarily that it happens like a shit ton, but when it rains, it pours. Definitely.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
But the thing that I will never do, and I feel like I have in the past been guilty of this, I don't want to subtweet. It's hard not to in some cases, and there are times just in my personal Discord, in my personal thoughts section, whatever I type there is literally about a specific person, but to put it out more broadly is not a thing that I do. And I think it's very, very dangerous. And we've seen how it can be dangerous.
Yeah.
But with that said, so how have you all been handling and coping with social media's impact on your mental health? And what's been the best thing for you?
Cry.
That's a strong one too.
That is actually.
It's better
Yeah.
to let it out. I've cried a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely agree. I cried a lot.
We both cried on stream.
Cried a
Ellen.
lot. Remember, I thought that there was no more tears, and then
Yep.
whoosh, everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and it's tough because you think there's no more tears, but then you realize that you're scrolled up in chat and there's a couple more paragraphs, and you're like,
And then it's just like, okay.
it's gonna remind you of how you're feeling and stuff like that. Yeah, but it's it's very Nurri, you can. it's very therapeutic to do it. But yeah, go ahead. Does anyone else have to use the restroom?
Oh, I'm good.
No. I was like, what happened?
Yeah,
So is that why I have the Discord?
yeah. So I have the video popped out,
Subtweeting
so I can have
is
this.
when there's an original tweet, and you can either there's like two ways to like reply back to it. That's technically a subtweet. Is you're commenting, replying to the original tweet, or you're tweeting about a situation that's very vague. It's like those two cases, I think.
Is that when you retweet with comment? That's different.
Oh, you can retweet
Okay,
with comment.
that's
subtweeting.
the technical, because
Yeah.
like that's the technical way
Oh,
to
here's a perfect
subtweet.
example of what subtweeting is. Okay.
Yeah,
Does anyone remember the Lily and the
that is exactly what I was gonna bring up.
and the
Yeah.
Andy Albert situation?
Yeah.
So everyone was in Japan, right? And then everyone found out in Japan that someone was cheating on somebody. So then everyone in the party starts tweeting about a very vague situation. But because all the tweets were about the same thing, that's what subtweeting is.
Yeah. So
okay.
so essentially like
That's a
like let's say that's the really good situation. So you are in a group and you've discovered something that is about to shake the foundation of things or make people very, very upset, but nobody has given you permission to make anything public yet. But for whatever reason, it's burning inside you that you want to subtly let people know that shit's going down. So you tweet
It's like they
something
kinda
like,
give their
there's a
2
lot of
cents.
snakes.
Yeah.
That's what it's like.
That's
There's a
the
lot of
infamous
snakes in this world. Snake emoji. And when 3, 4, 5 people in the group were related to it, all tweet something like that, you're like, all right. And then the Reddit detectives were on the case to figure out what
Reddit
the hell
was
happened.
so fucking scary. They cracked that down in an hour. You know
Yeah.
how scary
Yo,
that
yeah, Reddit can.
They figured it out
really fast.
pretty fast.
I was so scared.
Yeah,
It's scary, man.
it's crazy when they can read right through it. But I will say some of the way they figured it out was because some people in that party went to some of the offending parties' streams and said some really messed up things.
Yes, I've seen those. I've seen those clips. Yes.
Yes.
Are you guys talking about a specific?
Oh, we were just explaining what subtweeting is.
Oh,
There's the technical term, and then there's the other like.
We were
context of it.
talking about the OTV thing from last fall.
When they went to Japan. Yes.
Oh,
That's like the perfect example of subtweeting.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's essentially what it is. So like, I have always thought about that subtweeting thing even before Twitter. On Facebook, there was this common thing, and it has become a meme since then. Somebody will post, "Oh, guys, I'm really going through it right now, and I'm so upset." And so people reply, "Oh my God, what's wrong? Do you need to talk?" And they reply, "No, I'd rather not."
Oh, I hate that.
But
Mathematical symbols. Didn't you just?
Didn't you-
I remember people doing that on Facebook a lot.
Yeah. So on Facebook, that was the thing, even before Twitter was a thing. And now with even less characters, you can like do the same thing.
yo, subtweeting was a thing on MSN statuses. Okay.
Yo.
What?
Yes. Yes.
I like someone where like their name rhymes with this, and I was just like, okay, sure. Like those kind of stuff. Yeah, I
Or like the
that.
song lyrics and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what
There.
platform was this on?
MSN.
It was
Oh,
like
MSN.
AOL, but
Yeah, it was another messenger.
sorry, it
uh,
was like AIM. AIM is that?
Yeah, AOL
Yes,
Instant
yeah.
Messenger. Is what
Yeah,
that's
that one.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so MSN Messenger was the Microsoft version of
Yeah.
that, basically.
I think I think it was more popularly used among Canadians. I'm not sure though. AIM was more. I don't know. That's what
That's interesting. A lot of people I knew used both, but then there was a thing that came out called Trillion that just put them all together, and you just click on whatever one you're using. You could sign into all of them. And then people were mostly using AIM until like the actual social media networks came out, like Facebook and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so for Nurri and Evelyn, how have you managed to cope in addition to crying? what sort of other things do you do?
I talked about it on stream. So what really affected me this month on social media, other than like the Black Lives Movement and the Me Too allegations, the story with or the situation with Reckful and his passing, that was like the tip of the iceberg that just, broke the waterfalls, or just made the waterfall happen. And I tried to hold back, but then after that, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna stream for the next few days. I'm gonna I took like a few days off, and then I was planning to stream on Monday. I think it was Monday, and then on that day or the night prior, I heard about what happened to Olana, and then I was like, okay, I don't want to stream today either. But then I thought about it, and I was like, it's better to talk about it than to hold it in. So I decided to stream anyway and talk about it. It heavily affected me because I also deal with mental issues myself. And it's been hard to open up for me because of what we talked about before. Like, it's hard to trust people. I've had like a couple bad mod experiences, so it kind of made me hesitant to share things with people because I placed so much trust in somebody that I thought was actually a real friend, a mod. That's why I modded them, and to have them betray my trust kind of made me close up. So like, I didn't want to feel that way with my community, and I didn't want to feel that way about myself because I thought this isn't going to help me grow. I'm just internalizing everything and putting it all on myself. So I have to, in order to grow, I have to step out of my comfort zone and get out of this little bubble that I made, and open up to other people. And I can start by talking about the situation of what happened with Rekful and Olana. And many tears were shared and made, but it was a fulfilling experience. It was good. I think it was good to share. I felt better afterwards.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing because I'd been thinking about doing this show on this topic for a long time. There's a couple other topics that have been really important, but this has been the most pressing one. And a big reason of how I chose you three to talk to, for Nurri, we have had conversations a lot of times on Instagram, very interestingly, about this kind of stuff. So I know the two of us sometimes have takes that might not be as popular as other takes, and also the same kind of worries because of how people see us. So that's a big reason why I wanted her to come on. But for Helen and Evelyn, especially now that you mentioned the stream, those streams that you each did where you talked about these things, Helen, I already knew that you were kind of down to do that, even though it was hard. But Evelyn, I didn't know. I have known you for semi-decent amount of time now because of Donya and whatnot, but I didn't know you had that, and it was nice because it showed. I feel like it showed that growth, right? It showed that change in you to be willing to talk about it, and that was a big thing for me. And I think if we're talking about coping and we're talking about it on a stream with people that support you, it's still hard. So it's really cool to see some of y'all do that, and then to see especially how each of y'all have been subtly changing kind of what you do on stream, and adding effects or editing videos and making a website or opening up a freaking store. It's really cool to see that growth, and that growth comes from de-internalizing. I'm not even going to say externalizing, but de-internalizing the things that you didn't think were appropriate for you to talk about on stream, because you're oh, well, I play PUBG all the time, or I do these things. I never do this goofy thing, or I never do this serious thing. And to see that growth it's acknowledgement of you're trying to handle it. I think that's a really important thing. And that's why there's some streamers for instance, there's Peter, and there are some streams where he's a big goofball, joking and laughing all the time, saying yep cock, all that stuff. But then there's some streams where he just gets down into it and here's the shit that's going on. This has got me messed up. This has got me messed up. And it's a really big inspiration to see people be able to do that. But in some cases, a stronger thing that will affect us is that person that never does that has a stream where they're impassioned about something affecting them in a negative way. And you're just oh, this is how they are. This is how they're dealing with stuff. So I personally really like the talking about it on stream coping method. But I know some of the bigger streamers hate that, and they don't want to do it, and they don't want to see it, because very similar to how people will have their computer and bed in a different room, they want to keep their personal and public in a different room. And talking about how things are affecting the person, not the persona, is very scary and very, to them, inappropriate. But for us, especially being smaller and stuff, I think it's super good. I don't know. I'm curious, especially for Nurri, but I'm curious what you guys think. Because I know, Nurri, you don't do it super duper often.
I don't,
by any means. So I'm curious what y'all think about that take.
The more we talk about mental health, and then to make people realize that there's a lot of people that suffer from this and deal with it on a daily basis, I hope to bring more awareness to that and make people more understanding and empathetic. because most of the time maybe they just don't have anyone to actually like talk about these things, right? That's how how are you supposed to know and learn if you don't hear it from someone that actually deals with it firsthand?
True.
For me, it's I'm very open about talking about like depression and anxiety. The one topic that I don't think I usually touch base on, and is a very sensitive topic to me, is suicide. So that's why that one stream where I talked about Olana was really hard for me, because I do suffer from suicidal thoughts. And I also was like Evelyn, and I didn't feel like streaming, but after how I coped, I cried a lot. It was very hard to get out of bed. I found most days I would just lay in bed until about maybe 4 or 5 p.m. I'd be like, okay, it's time to get up, time to brush my teeth, take a quick shower, put some food in me. It's hard to do those things when you're depressed. Everything you think is easy to do on a daily basis it's so taxing on me. But I try to push myself to do those things too, because like even those little daily things can kind of help you, get through the depression, right? Like taking those steps. And then I really thought about it, because Olana's news really, really hit me hard as someone I admire and as a fellow Canadian. Like, it hit me so hard. And I was like, I got to talk about this. Even if it helps one person, maybe they can recognize the signs. Maybe they can reach out to that one friend and be like, hey, are you okay? Because you don't realize that just saying those small words can mean so much to someone who's in need of a friend.
Yeah, and coming as a viewer, I feel the same way watching a streamer. Like when they talk about their issues, I'm like, this resonates with me, because I kind of deal with the same things, and it makes me feel better that someone else is dealing with this too. Even though it sucks for both of us, I feel a little less alone.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and I try to tell this to more and more people and my damn self, you can't impact or help everyone, but you can impact or help someone.
Exactly.
And I think that's like a very important thing to think, especially when streaming, especially when numbers are a thing, which we haven't even gotten into that talk yet. That's still going to be something we need to talk about for a little bit, but it's a very important thing to realize. If you got one person something that they needed, you're doing your job right. That's the way that I've always seen it. Streaming and not streaming, honestly. But like I said earlier, Nurri, what do you think about this? Talking about an on-stream coping mechanism, and how come you maybe don't do it as much?
I think it's just solely because, like, I hate to use the word, but it is what it is. Like, the branding that I chose to go with for my stream is very positive, very like lighthearted, right? We do talk about these things at like certain times, but I don't know why I just get very uncomfortable and like uneasy, almost. Okay, I learned this term this year because Yvonne used it, but minimalizing my thoughts and feelings on certain things, I think that's what I do, and that's probably why I don't talk about what goes on in my head a lot on my own stream, because it's like, okay, like what you're feeling, whatever, it's whatever, right? Like, so that's probably why I haven't used that coping mechanism yet. But yeah, no, definitely talking to someone that I trust, like my sister and my mom and stuff like that, has been my go-to, as well as just like bearing myself into work. So like Nurri's Nook work, I like literally use that as my main like method of distraction from the bad things in the world. But yeah, probably.
And that's interesting you mentioned that, because none of us said this, and it's one of the most common coping strategies: distraction.
Yeah.
Get your mind off of it. Now, granted, I think we don't really think of it as a coping mechanism, because at the end of the day, it doesn't do shit. Because when you're done doing your thing, you know who's still sitting right there waiting for you? Your problems. So it's tough. But I do it, right? Like, Helen and I talked about how we were like doing editing and stuff and making graphics. And Evelyn and I were talking about how we're doing like stream things and channel points and how to do this and that. And then, you know, I've talked to Nurri a lot about her drawing and doing her store and all that stuff. Like, there's so many things that we do to keep our minds off of the things that are hurting. And that is a coping mechanism. It's still a method to a method to handle what's happening. You're not dealing with it, you're moving it, but you're moving through the day still. You know what I mean? So I think that's an important one. I don't know. What do y'all think about distractions?
Very effective.
Very effective, yeah.
Yeah.
I figured that wouldn't be like a thing to get deep into, but yeah, I just want to make sure I mention it, especially for everybody. Yeah, like my mod Sam, he said, I swear my life is about 95% distraction these days. And then James said, I'm not coping, I'm just playing League for 12 hours.
But if it's helping, then it's helping.
Yeah.
Right?
And no one can tell you otherwise.
Exactly. Like for me personally, like most of the time it works. And then like there are those days where it just seems like nothing's working.
Yeah.
Those are rough days.
Those are definitely the toughest for sure.
I think the only downside with distraction though is if you use it in a way where you just don't ever address your problems and you just internalize it and you just keep distracting and you never deal with the problems. You just hide it you just stuff it in the closet in a little box, never to be seen again. But then someday something triggers it and then Pandora's box opens and then the floodgates open and then you're just like in a really bad spot. So don't want to
face your problem.
Yeah, for sure.
You can only hide it and push it away for so long. Eventually, it all comes back, and it could come back all at once. It could trickle out, but people don't realize emotionally you don't have a limitless storage capacity for it. There's a definitive like I can handle not talking about it for this long or this many things happen before it starts to spill out. And in some cases, people are so good at it and keep the box so tightly sealed that when it's time, it bursts instead. And that's when you get, in some cases, some really bad things happening, whether they hurt themselves or others, where they do crazy things, or you see them acting
mental breakdown.
Different things. It's a total meltdown. So it's not recommended. But speaking of the idea of things that you try to put off or ignore, but they do get to you eventually, as streamers, I think personally, not the events happening in the world, not even your like personal events and stuff like that. As a streamer, the thing that gets to all of us the most are the numbers. Numbers. I'm relevant here. I have this many things here. Maybe I can get a sponsor because of these numbers. Maybe I'm better than a person because of these numbers. Like, you get yourself wrapped up. And even if all of us happen to be over that now, and I think a lot of us like kind of have done a decent job of not caring as much, it's still there. They don't just go away. So how have you all been like handling the numbers?
Yeah. And sometimes when you try to ignore it, somebody in chat would be like, "Oh, you only have this many viewers today."
Or that,
like, what happened?
Wow, chat's so dead.
Why did they even say that?
Just let you know.
Like, how does that help?
It's like, I know. I am looking at it. Like, what do you think I'm doing?
It blows my mind what goes through your mind that makes you think it's a relevant thing to input into chat. Like, what makes you like, I'm gonna type about this and hit enter. Like, you know, like, I'm just like, oh, yes, cool story. I don't know. I just don't get that. I'm sorry you guys have to. That's like weird. That's fucked up.
That is a nice
like, it sits there and just.
It bothers me.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna deny it. It bothers me. God damn.
Yeah,
oh my God.
It's absolutely insane. And also, thank you, Venomous Ninetales, for the 5 months. Welcome back. It is this like looming thing to always have. Like, everything when you're streaming, like, you actually physically have to hide all of these things. I remember in Streamlabs OBS, when I used that before I realized it's actually a horrible disaster, they had the numbers in certain places and you had to like hide all of them there even. not just on your dashboard. And it's like, just because you hide them, they don't go away. And they do impact things. Partner has a 75 concurrent viewer requirement, the hardest one to hit of the 3 requirements. Like, you have to be conscious of it. And for a while, you don't. And maybe Nurri can attest to this a little more since she went through it. But you start getting to that 60, 65, and you have to be aware of it. You have to think of the things you do. So how were you handling the numbers situations as you were pushing for it?
So I actually, I mention Alex a lot, but he's actually a big part of my growing journey on Twitch. He told me about, like, why don't you just hide your viewership? I was like, you can do that. So ever since he told me,
I was so glad when I found out you could do that too. Oh my god,
it's a big help because then it doesn't become a looming factor. And yes, I did check it after streams and stuff during the time I was approaching the partnership requirement and stuff like that. And I don't know, I think at that time I was still in the, like, what's the throttle of my growth. So it was kind of, I was riding that wave. So, like, the viewership, like, it wasn't, like, very daunting to me. It was like, I got this, like, I can do this, you know? But, like, now as a partnered streamer, I'm just kind of like, do I care about my viewership numbers anymore, or do I, like, do I let these numbers continue to affect me? You know what I'm trying to say? It's a really weird boat to be on, and I struggle with that thought a lot because I don't know. It kind of, I can see if it comes off as, like, ungrateful or something like that, but it's a true, genuine thought I have because, like, the numbers still get to me. Like, let's say one day I'm streaming at, like, I don't know, like 60 viewers. That's still an amazing fucking number of viewership to have, right? But to me, it almost, like, invalidates my partnership badge, you know? Yeah, exactly. So it's a thought I actually have to battle with a lot, and yeah, I don't like numbers.
Yeah, I think it can be kind of hard, as I can see why it would be a bit difficult as a partner, because like that check mark next to your name, when people see that, they kind of put you, I feel like they kind of put you on a pedestal.
They have high expectations of you.
They have
sometimes they'll even say something in chat. I've seen it. It's like, oh, how are you a partner, but you only have X amount of viewers?
So and so viewers, right?
And then I was so shook when I saw that. I was like,
that's a rude thing to say. God.
So
that is so rude. Like, you don't like.
It's super bad because people literally think the only way you can get partner is by hitting those 3 requirements. People still think that, and that is actually not the case.
Yeah.
If Twitch thinks that you're a highly valued member of the community and doing great things for Twitch and the community, they could give you partner. If you have high followings on other social medias like YouTube or Twitter, you can apply, or they could just give you partner. If you work for Twitch or Amazon, you can just say, hey, person who does this, I want to stream. Can you give me the check mark? Like, you could do that. It's shitty, and a lot of them don't do that. But you can. So there's a lot of ways. And then there were incentives for certain regions of the world. I think this happened in 2016, 2017, before I was really paying attention, where they searched for the top streamers in those areas. And a lot of times those top streamers had 40 viewers, 30 viewers, something a lot lower than the requirements, especially at the time, because a lot of people don't realize this. The requirements for viewership for a partner in 2013, 2014 in that region was 500 concurrent. that was the requirement to get it. And so people were getting upset when the 100 viewer streamers were getting partner because of the regional partnerships or the community things. People were getting upset even at that. And nowadays we're like, oh, 100, that's wonderful. Yeah, you're above the requirements. You're doing great. But a lot of people will sit there and be like, well, I can never get more than 100. It's always 100, 100, 100. That's the only viewership that I have. And it's a very interesting thing because as you hit goals, our dumbass brain uproots the goalpost and moves it further. I want this. I want this. I want this. I remember, and tell me if y'all can attest to this. When I started taking streaming more seriously in 2018, I said, wow, wouldn't it be cool? I would be so happy if every time I streamed, 20 people were there. It would be so cool.
Yeah.
And it was when it started to happen. I was like, I fired up stream. There are already 8 people there. And it's like, oh man, these people are the notification guys. And then I would get to 20, 25 like so often. And then I would have those periods where it would be up a lot higher, 50, 100, 300. Like I've had like this crazy roller coaster of where my numbers are. And when I got that taste, I was like, damn, I have less than 20. Now I'm sad. Or damn, I have 25. I am sad. And that's when I turned them off. I turned them off at that, but I kept moving the goalposts. And now in my head, I'm like, a really good stream for me right now is probably about 50 without a host, I think. And even that's stupid of me to do because I just keep moving it. So did you all discover that? Did you all discover that you had these little goals and then you pushed and pushed?
Didn't realize that I was doing it. I feel like it was so subconscious, but it definitely happened.
Yeah.
So weird. But I definitely turn out my viewerships now. I hate looking at it. I don't want to know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I hate when
have
someone's
no clue.
like, wow, there's so many people here. I'm like, I didn't know to begin with. Why are you telling me now? Now I'm like sweating.
Yeah.
And it's tough because like they're your friends and they come in and are like, you're popping off. You're having a great night. What's up? Or like for me, and I don't do it like I did it at first because I didn't know the etiquette. But since I learned how shitty it feels, if I go into somebody who normally has like 40 and they have like 400, and I'll be like, who hosted them? And then I'll start looking around and I'll figure out who hosted them. But just like Voivod just said, people will come into your chat, your friends even sometimes, and they'll say, wow, this is great. Did somebody host you? Just so super innocently. And for us, a lot of times we're like, you don't think I could do this by myself? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
It affects me because the next stream it's like, great, how am I supposed to make it happen again? It's like, wow, you did it, and it's like, yeah, but can I do it again? And that's why I don't like looking at numberships because especially for me lately, it's been fluctuating. I have like some great ass streams, and then another stream, nothing has changed, but there's the viewership number is just, it's not the same. It's not reflective of that. And there's no reasoning, but it does affect my mental health. It's like, I don't understand what's going on, and like as someone that's like really wanting to chase partnership, it affects me so mentally because like, what can I do to try to get that? How do I get that? How do I maintain it?
How do you keep it?
Sometimes, how do I keep it? And sometimes there's just no answer. I don't know. It's so hard.
Yeah, it's crazy. And Joe says like, I don't think it's rude to ask who hosted. It's kind of rude to ask in the chat, because we will take it the wrong way. That's just how things are.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to understand that even if you don't think it's something that is rude or doesn't make you feel bad, as soon as you hear it, literally for me, I this is not a flex. I follow nearly like 800 people on Twitch, and I bounce around to a lot of them, at least saying hi on some days, or like I haven't been in there a while and I'll say hi. It is important to know that if one person has ever expressed that such and such, what you think is a mundane thing, makes somebody upset, just don't do it at all, right?
It's like when someone comes in and is like, why is chat so dead?
Yeah, like you don't have to do it at all. Even if you know that they're okay with it, there's no reason, because somebody else wasn't okay with it. And that's, in my opinion, I think that's a good way to look at it. And I think a lot of that comes from, if y'all have ever dealt with this has nothing to do with streaming. You're planning a group gathering and you're inviting people, and somebody says, oh, is it okay if I invite this person? If one person in that group says that they don't want that, that is enough to not invite them. I think you want everyone there to feel comfortable with everybody. Sure, it might suck for that person, but maybe they're a sack of shit anyway. You don't want them there, and you didn't realize, But still, I think it's always the fact that I know that one streamer has said to me, yeah, when you ask me who hosted me, like, it makes me feel like you think I don't, do it on my own. Then I'm like, okay, I won't ask that question anymore. But before we hop into the natural segue here for Nurri and Evelyn, did you have that goalpost shifting issue as well yourselves?
All the time. I still do. Still really, really do, and I kind of touched on it earlier, but like, there was a point, even just like shortly after I got partnered, where I was like, you know what, I'd be happy with 50 viewers right now, because like I just, it was like me streaming at a different time or something, and I think it's something I have troubles with accepting. Like Twitch is like that, people are gonna be moving on to find the next like up and coming, the next like new Asian girl streamer. You know what I mean?
I feel attacked.
I hate to say it, but it's
feel
true.
attacked.
It's true. If I don't notice, I see everything.
And like it sucks, but it's the truth, and like it's a thought I have to like accept. It's like, yeah, people move on, that's fine, and like people are always gonna try and get that first VIP in a new upcoming girl stream and things like that. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I just have to accept that, basically.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's why my goalpost shifts a lot, because I think that is just the way Twitch works. It's just the way Twitch works. I'm not saying you're a bad person, Rob.
Listen,
Rob.
it's just I just so happen to fall into this community, and a lot of people happen to be Asian. That's it. This is what happens.
You know what? Same. It's cool. It's cool.
Damn it.
God damn it, Nurri.
I like
I'm
that.
glad you said it so, Nurri.
That is a nice
Oh god.
Oh,
Mtech,
the
thank
next-
you for gifting that sub to
Gifted a
Bob.
tier 1 sub to Bob Zach. They have given 7 gift subs.
Sorry, I
in
got
the
it in my
channel.
ear. Okay, my robot voice was in my ear. It's it's always an interesting thing, and what that makes me think of is there was a time, I've been close and not close in various intervals with different large or small streamers, right? In some cases, and please correct me if this is not what people think of me, but people think of me as somebody that they can easily talk to. Like it's a thing that I have about me, that I'm someone you can kind of rattle shit off to, and I have kind
It's
of
true,
a good
it's
feedback or bounce back. And I've had big and small folks just DM me out of nowhere saying, "Hey, can I talk to you? Like, I'm dealing with this random bullshit. Like, can you tell me if I'm going crazy?" And I'm like, "Sure." Like what? Like, when some 50,000 follower person comes into my DMs and is like, "Hey, can I talk to you?" I'm like, "Are you sure? Is this to the right person? Like, what do you mean?" It's a thing that everybody struggles with, the moving goalpost thing, and I think it's super important to keep in mind that you are the person, after you hit partner, you are the one setting those goals. It is you, the person, that is setting those goals and expectations, and you really have to think about it. But with that said, Evelyn, have you also encountered the moving goalpost problem?
Oh yeah. I think throughout my streaming progress on Twitch, I've been streaming for like 7 years now, and I used to be like 100 viewer Andy way back in the day, when before Twitch was like super saturated. It's like 2 million people now, 2.2 million now, and growing people that are growing streamers now. But back then it was like almost bare bones.
Right.
Like so I was streaming that, and yeah, I was 100 viewer Andy then, but then I took some breaks in between that time. Also made a different account now. This is like my second account. So my numbers have definitely fluctuated a lot, and like even like last year, I think I thought about taking streaming seriously and then striving for partner. And I think when you're striving for partner, numbers are something that you are definitely going to care more about, because you wonder, it's the only metric that you can kind of see to like gauge like how well did I do on stream this day. Do I know what I'm doing is working or not? Is this game that I'm playing working or not? Are my viewers and numbers fluctuating higher or lower when I play this game, or when I do this, like a podcast or something like that, right? So you have to take all of that into consideration when you're striving for partner. Mm-hmm. And I remember that's what I did when I was striving for partner. But then stuff happened in my life, and then I took another break, because what is life if it's not with this ups and downs? But yeah, so I took I took a break, and then my numbers dropped again after that. So now I'm just like, okay, I don't like having to look at these numbers anymore. Like sometimes I get curious. It's kind of hard to like close it off completely for me. And every now and then I'll look just to like kind of gauge like, okay, is chat liking what I'm doing today? Should I continue doing this in the future? But as far as like letting it impact my mental health, that's something that I try to have a firmer grasp on it. I don't let that be a measure of my worth or value as a streamer or a person. I had somebody come into my stream the other last week. I tweeted about this. I was like, I was floating around like 30 to 40 viewers, and I was just, it was a chill stream for me at that point. I was like kind of winding down, and we're just watching videos. And the guy said, "Oh, this is boring. No wonder you only have 32 viewers." And I was like, "Oh, okay." That was pretty mean to say.
Yeah, that's rude.
But
that's really fucking rude.
Yeah, I tweeted about it.
No wonder. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. But I tweeted about it, and I wrote that, I even if I have like 32 viewers, at the end of the day, like these numbers don't reflect my value or my worth as a person. So
right, and I think, and you just really touched on it for sure. There are so many factors into why or why not you would have a successful stream, and I highly recommend this. I got this recommendation indirectly from Rosa Cha Sabs. She listened to or read this amazing book that a lot of people have heard of called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Super good book. I have started listening to an audiobook on my walks every day, and the part of it that I just listened to was why or what is your metric for success. And a lot of people, I think mistakenly, believe that stream of that night was a good stream if you had X or more viewers. But there's so many factors that I think everyone should consider to what makes it a successful stream, right? Some people, like, if one person thinks a successful stream is, man, somebody talked to me in chat today and they stayed for 15 minutes. Wow. Yeah. Successful stream. But then somebody else might think, man, I got 500 subs today. This was a successful stream, you know? There's all these, an EbTech right on time. I talk about subs and he gives a sub.
That is a nice boulder.
Thank you for gifting that sub to Jay. I appreciate it.
Etic gifted a tier 1 sub to Ye Youngie Official. They have given 8
very
gift subs in the
important
channel.
to make sure that your metric for success is actually something more, it's not going to be completely, but more in your control. Because if you depend on factors outside of your control, like view count, to determine if a stream was successful, you're going to have a lot more unsuccessful ones than you'd probably like to. And that's just a matter of setting your metrics for success. And I think it's very important. And the book really has been going into so many of these topics that are very relatable for people who stream or content create in any way. Depend on the kindness of others to make their way through whatever they're doing. And I think that's it's very interesting. So I just wanted to bring that up for y'all and for chat to kind of reflect on what all of it could possibly mean.
That was very valuable. Thank you.
You're welcome. For as much as I want everybody to be able to share their stories and their opinions and their input, I think for me, if we're talking about it, a metric of success for a stream for me is, did somebody learn something? Did somebody walk away from this stream with something that maybe they want to tell someone else? Or maybe it'll change a small aspect of their life because they learned, something that you might have thought was mundane. If I feel if I feel someone is more enriched because of what I've done, And that could be from learning something. That could be from having a good time, laughing. That could be from participating in different games. Like I've been doing a lot of chat interactive games like Stream Raiders, Stream Racers. People do marbles, like things where people feel like they're a part of it and are having a good time. Like all of that is something that someone can walk away from a stream, feel better about themselves, feel better about life, just being happy. And I think having that as a metric is a lot healthier than depending on numbers or subs or viewers or subs or number of followers that night. Like it's tough. And it's so interesting because a lot of industry professionals, when they're trying to figure out how someone is doing, they'll go to Solinome, they'll go to Twitch Tracker, the websites that show all those metrics, all those numbers, and they'll say, well, this person's doing really, really well because very specifically, they always gain followers every stream and they gain them at a high percentage. And their viewership graph is always increasing the whole night and never plateaus or dips. And it's just like, that's one metric of success, and that is how a lot of sponsors, advertisers, and sometimes even Twitch itself look at it, because a lot of people talk about how there's a certain threshold of the number of subscribers you have as a partner before you can talk about renegotiating your contract and all stuff that is probably NDA. So especially Nurri, you don't have to say anything, but and it's scary. It's scary. Well, this also for people who have read every single word of their contract, which a lot of people don't do. Even work and stuff, people don't do that. So it is this dual-edged sword. For as important as those numbers can be, they're also wildly irrelevant.
Yeah.
So you have to find that balance, right? That's the thing that you got to do as a person, as a streamer. You always got to find that balance, and that's in every field. There's numbers in every field that you should not worry about, like your salary compared to another person's salary, or like the number of hours you work, or there's so many different things that you can do. So I kind of want to wrap that discussion up in a nice little bow to have you understand. But if you have anything else you want to add, please, before we hop into the other section of topics. Just want to make sure that I didn't. Okay, good. That's fine. So
Darn the numbers. That's all.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Heck them straight to heck. Okay, so for everyone else who doesn't know, I wrote up a little doc of topics, and I had a section of things I 100% wanted to get to, and then a section of things that let's talk about it if we feel like it. So I'm just going to kind of like pick a little bit of that, and then maybe we'll be able to look at some of the questions submitted on the forum. And if you guys want to throw any more of them in their SOS forum in the chat, you'll be able to hop on there. So we will look at that in a little while, but I don't want to hold everybody up forever. We're just about to hit 2 hours. So if at any point you're feeling like I got to go eat, I got to go do something, just let me know, or you can type it in the chat and we'll start to wrap it up. But the biggest thing on here was the first one I put on those topics. So when we see people struggling, when we see people going through it, or we're worried because they type something on a tweet or in chat or in a DM or somewhere. Oh snap, I'm getting raided. Thank you, Pokey, for the raid. I appreciate it.
Poggy.
Thank you, guys. Welcome. Normally I would do a bunch more for a raid, but I don't want to because we're in a podcast. But thank you, guys. If you don't know, my name is Rob. We are doing a show called Streamers on Streaming. As you can see down there, it says, and I have 3 amazing, powerful guests with me talking about mental health and social media. And we're about to get into a relatively serious topic. Not that we haven't been talking about serious topics the whole time. But when those things happen, the negative things where people are worried about things or expressing things that you're concerned with, the most, and Beaston just farted in my ear. The most the most common reply, and if you disagree, please tell me, to somebody who says, I'm struggling, I'm dealing with this, whatever, my grandpa died, is, my DMs are open. If you need to talk, just let me know. And let me say, not to be crass and not to be ungrateful, but that comment really fires me up lately because I know for a lot of us it isn't, but well, not for a lot of us sitting in this call, but for a lot of other folks, it's an empty promise. It doesn't mean anything for two reasons. Reason one, and this is what I want to talk about if anybody disagrees or has alternate takes. Reason one is when you tell someone, hey, if you're all fucked up and staring into the darkness, just send me a message. They're not going to do that. They're almost never going to do that. And it's for all kinds of reasons. They think they're a burden. They think they're bothering you. They don't want to talk about it. They don't think you can help. Like, there's so many reasons that they're not going to goddamn do it.
I don't. Mm-hmm.
But the biggest reason is number two, that I dislike it. They do reach out and they say, hey, you said I could message you. I am struggling and dealing with this, that, or anything. And the reply is, oh, it'll be okay. So was the DM for you or for the person? What was the point of that? There's not, when you're hitting them with platitudes or canned messages, automatic replies, you're doing more harm than good.
Agreed.
And it happens so often. And I think the biggest point of this, and this is where I'll give you guys the floor, the biggest point of this is a lot of people think that they're equipped to handle other people's issues. But let me tell you all something very, very important. You're not. Unless you've worked in the mental health field, are trained, or honestly are older and have just dealt with a lot of people, you don't know how to handle the intricate mental health issues of another person, especially if you don't really know them well. You know, when you reply to Pokey, who's struggling with something, you say, my DMs are open if you ever need. She DMs you and her issue is like, yeah, you know, I have all this money and all these people keep bothering me about it. It's been really, really frustrating. You're like, oh, I understand. You don't know shit. You know less than nothing about what she's dealing with. You can't relate to her at all. Like, it's not a possible thing. So it drives me crazy because, and I forget who's, it was either Helen's or Evelyn's stream. I said something along the lines of, what the problem is not people who think they can help and can, or people who don't think they help and they can't. It's the people who think they can and can't. Like, that is the biggest issue, because so many people have this inflated sense of self and ego that says, well, you know, I'm well adjusted and fine, so I can handle anybody's problems. Man, there's so much more that goes into it. So the question is, in general, how do you feel about this phrase, my DMs are open, when these situations happen? What do you guys think? Or gals, I keep saying guys.
I'm not a fan of it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Rob. I kind of agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
No.
When I'm having my episodes, I don't really think of other people. Don't take offense to that. It's just, I get into a dark place. I don't think about friends. I don't think about family. The thoughts that I have in that moment have consumed me. So for people to tweet that, it's like, do you really think I'm going to remember that tweet and be like, whoa, oh yeah, there's that tweet. I'm going to go reach out to them right now. Actually, I have an issue with not being able to reach out to people, and my friends know this. So when they sense that something is off, they will personally reach out and be like, hey, we haven't heard from you in a while. Is everything okay? Are you going through another one of your episodes? That's where I feel comfortable opening up, because now, you know, it's someone that is aware of my situation and they already know a little bit of that history. So I'm, in that sense, I'm more comfortable actually talking about what is going on in my head and what I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So with those DMs being open, it's like, I'm sorry, I don't know you. I don't trust you. I don't know if you can actually help me. So I'm not gonna hit your DMs. It's just, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do the rest of y'all think?
No, I totally see what you guys are saying, and I definitely agree with it now. But I have been in the seat where it's like, yo, guys, my DMs are open. Sorry, I think my baby cousin was at my door. Anyway.
I was like, do you say it? That's sus? Like, holy shit.
I just heard like something swipe along the door, and I was like, and then I heard like a little baby voice. Okay, anyway. No, but I have definitely reminded people, like, hey, like, if you need someone to listen to, I may not be, I'll disclaim it too, like, I may not be like the best person to give you advice, but I'll always be an ear if you need someone to just vent to and stuff like that. So I say it more in the terms of like, I'm not here to like give you the like a psychiatry level advice to like help you with your problems, but I'll be here if you just need to get it off your chest. Like, you may not have to trust me, you may not have to, like, you know, it's just if, and I get what like Helen's saying, like, I'm not gonna remember your tweet, but like, you know, it's like if you're just strolling on through and you're like, fuck, I do need to get this off my chest, my DMs are open if you want. But yeah, I mean, and by no means am I equipped to help anyone in their situations. It's just, if you just need to just vent and scream or whatever, then
that wording means more than just saying like my DMs are open. Like, it's true, some people just literally just want to vent, and all you got to do is just validate their feelings, be like, I'm sorry, this is how you feel, I hear you.
Being heard is super important.
Don't be like, everything's gonna be fine, like
that, and that's a big thing.
Say that it could
we know it's things will be fine. It's right now that it's not okay. And that's where we're struggling.
Well, honestly, in a lot of cases, who the hell knows if things are going to be fine, you know? Everything's falling apart. Maybe this is the end. You don't know. Like, that's the other phrase that goes with my DMs are open. When you do it, and they're like, well, I know it's tough right now, but it'll be okay eventually. It's like, how do you know? Are you from the future? Like, how do you have this knowledge? Have you time traveled back to me to let me know? Well, you see, you'll be very successful after you hate yourself for 4 months. Like, what? How do you know that shit? Like, oh, God. Sorry. I'll start ranting. What were you going to say, Evelyn? It looked like you had a thought.
No, I was just saying, like, I was adding on to, like, when people say that they want to help you and then you confide in them and then they say something like, oh, well, it's going to be okay. It could like, let's say it's gonna be okay, but worse is when they say, like, when they compare their situation with yours and be like, oh, at least you know you don't have this, you know, like I'm dealing with this and it's worse than yours, and you're like,
I hate those conversations.
People do that to me.
Yeah, it's like trying to one up me. Why are you trying to do that?
I do not go back to you ever again. If you pull that card on me, I do not. In my mind, it's like, I don't feel safe discussing these feelings with you anymore.
It really invalidates your feelings, your problems. It's like, okay, you have it worse. I feel bad for you now too, but like, it doesn't make me feel any better for you to tell me that. So it's like,
that'll do, donkey.
I agree.
That'll do.
Sorry,
Nike gifted a tier
Nikki
1
just
sub
gifted
to
a sub to
Nurri.
Nurri. Thank
This
you.
is the first gift sub in the channel.
No, that's exactly true. And I was let me see. Is this the there's a good it's actually a link. There's a good thing. I talked about this on my stream, and I've actually let some of you know about this too, this idea. Let me see if I can find it. There's a very important I know where it was. There's a very important thing to consider when you are telling someone you'll be there for them. And for some of you who don't know, there is there's an actual subreddit for, it's called r/depression, where people can talk about their issues and all this stuff. And you don't go there to seek help necessarily. It's more to explain your situation. People can relate, blah blah blah.
Right.
A big reason why this came up, and this post really got me thinking about it, and I will actually go ahead and post it in chat for anybody who wants to have this to honestly, literally reply to somebody who's offering what it says not to. One of the big rules of the r/depression subreddit is helpers may not invite private contact as a first resort. That's a rule of that subreddit, and it's the most broken rule. And that's what that post is about. It's a pinned post there. Yeah, my mic might be getting loud and soft. It's because I move away and closer, because I am endlessly fidgety. So I apologize for that. And the most important thing that I thought about that post that is relevant here is this particular comment. Unless the helper is able to make a 100% commitment to be there for them in every way for as long as necessary, offering a personal inbox as a resource is likely to do more harm than good. Let me tell you something.
I agree.
And pardon my French, but I am a needy bitch, okay? At the end of the day, if you say you're my friend or you are offering anything to me, guess what, pal? You hooked me. I'm there forever until you hate me, probably. And I see Kane, just a fan, laughing in the chat. He knows this damn well because he is somebody who is my friend, has offered it, and whenever the hell I goddamn needed it, boom. You know, if he sees the message, right? If he's not at work or whatever, he is there. Like, and I have a couple people that are like that. Friendship is a commitment, responsibility. It takes effort. Parasocial relationships are like the hardest thing to deal with in a lot of those cases. But when you are accepting someone as your friend, you have to be there for them. And even more importantly, if you are offering to be their helper for whatever situation, you gotta be there forever, man. You gotta be there as long as it takes. Because for me, if I send somebody a message that I think is my friend or has offered help to me, and I don't get a reply, or it takes them more than I give them 2 days, because sometimes maybe they're in the middle of the woods and they don't know. But if I don't get a reply for a week, 2 weeks, and it's just nothing after they offered to help or had previously helped me, it is hurting me so much. It is driving me crazy. And I think, well, I guess this person hates me now. So
yeah, because
GG me.
I feel that.
It opens up a whole new direction of thoughts that was super unnecessary. Yeah, I know what you mean.
That's the super true thing, and it's super important to keep that in mind. All right. With that said, I think I want to get into a couple of the questions that people asked that we didn't already hit. Yeah.
All right, let's get into it.
Okay. So just checking the time. Now what's a really good one? A lot of these we actually did answer.
How we doing, chat?
Oh, this is a super good one. So if anybody wants to sneak any in that you think will pass my random test of whether or not I want to answer it, there's the form. But we'll do a simple one. That we actually didn't touch on, which I'm surprised. Do you ever feel pressure to be active on social media because you are a streamer?
All the time.
Yes.
Unfortunate, all the time. It's so weird because if people know me in real life, I'm just really chill. I post when I feel like posting.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to grow, people are always, you gotta be active. You gotta be on more than one platform. That's how you're gonna grow. And I'm like, my Instagram game is not there. It's just not there.
Same.
It's so hard. I don't know. I don't know how they do it. Some people literally have they plan every post.
Yeah.
For weeks in advance. And I'm just oh, I thought this picture looked good. I'm gonna post it right now.
Bro, if I could hire someone to do my social media, I would.
Yeah. Jeez.
For Instagram,
it is rough. It's hard.
Yeah. Nurri, if you do ever have the amount of money you need to be able to do that, I actually know a bunch of people who would be super good.
Wait, actually?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Listen, my greatest skill is knowing people, and so I'm gonna use it. I'm literally gonna rip this hair out. It has been bothering me the whole time. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, you always feel the pressure, and there's so many people, and this is the reason why I wanted to bring this one up, who want to be done with social media, who want to take a break or just get rid of it. Just like we were talking about Facebook. It's not relevant to any of us anymore as a streamer, as a person, for the most part, except for a few people that are on there. So if we can convert those people to something else, we don't need it. But the thing is, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch itself, right? It's important for what we do, especially for people who do it as all their income or most of their income.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. Like,
Yeah.
there's no getting out of it. Literally, you need to be insanely large to not worry about it. You know, like PewDiePie. You know, like you just. It doesn't matter. He like XQC. All of his tweets are in all caps. You know, like it doesn't matter. Yeah. When you see an XQC tweet that's not in all caps, he's like being serious. Like that's so like it's they don't. A lot of people don't understand how important it is, and then those of us who do, it's very hard to try to do anything about it. And you have to like curate it. Like, so I think the good thing about this question to ponder, and if you have an answer, then that would be good, is how do you deal with it? How do you consume as little social media as possible while using it as much as you need to?
I think it's important to be very self-aware of how it's impacting your mental health. If it is more on a more day-to-day basis, it's negatively impacting you, it is time to take a break.
Yeah.
So you gotta take control of your own situation. That is a responsibility on yourself, I feel like.
For me, I have like little pockets during the day. They're not planned or anything, but like I have little pockets during the day where I will check my DMs all at once, or like I will scroll through Instagram, or like, check Discord, check Twitter in like one little pocket so that I'm not like engulfed in it all day, if you know what I mean.
The same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that too. I do my best to check Instagram in the morning and at night, and that's it. That's
yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Evelyn?
For me, I've been trying to grow my Instagram because, they say like in order to grow, you got to like use other platforms and so, but I don't like Helen, I don't like posting consistently. I like posting when I feel like it.
Yeah, I'm like that too. It feels more organic.
So I'm trying to be consistent this time, but then I thought like, okay, what is a way for me to make this more enjoyable for me while still achieving growth? So I've been treating Instagram as like my journal. So if you see my posts, I've just been like writing things that I pretty much like a blog of my thoughts.
Yeah.
So it's like I am like kind of like
it gives you incentive to at least post, right?
Yeah, and like it helps me release like whatever thoughts I have at the moment that I want to like let out. So it's like a journal, like a blog of things, but at the same time, like I'm also achieving some growth by like hashtagging.
Yeah. I'm the same, Evelyn.
yeah. Sorry, I just got a very thick raid from Mr. Flarefire. Hello, not a cult members. Flock with the Glock. Thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. For those of you who don't know, my name is Rob, and today we're talking in a special segment called Streamers on Streaming, and we have 3 amazing, powerful, wonderful, beautiful guests that are super duper smart and well spoken. You can find them at !SOS. There's a lovely link to everybody there, and we're talking about mental health and social media, and the question is about how to use it as little as possible, but also as much as you need, because you're a streamer. so yeah, those are the answers that we just got. Yeah, and I strongly agree. Like, you not only have to curate your feed, you not only have to take everything with a grain of salt, but you also have to curate the amount of time. The most interesting thing that I saw was actually from Foosley. I don't know if she's still doing this, but she shared with us that there are apps, and she had one in particular, where you can limit the amount of time your phone actually allows you to open certain apps.
I've heard of this app. I've actually heard of this app. Yeah.
And for the longest time, I think she put Twitter on like 4 hours a day, because she was like me, and probably a lot of us, on Twitter all day, all the time, looking at things. You get pings, notifications, you check those, you get DMs. Like, there's so much going on. And she realized that, and I identified with this so much, you end up staying in one spot. Bed, a couch, sitting on a porch, and you don't realize 3 hours went by and you were just on Twitter.
Oh my God, yes.
And you have 100 things to do. So she literally used this app to limit her time, and she would meme it on stream, because somebody would be like, "Oh, I DM'd it to you on Twitter," and she would pull up her phone like, I used up all my time on Twitter today. Can you send it to me on Discord? So yeah, I basically I highly recommend doing something like that to be able to help you out. With the caveat that the first couple days or weeks of you using the app, you're gonna be pretty angry kind of often because people are like, oh, did you see what happened on Twitter? And you're like, I can't. so just keep that in mind. And with time in mind, I think we'll be able to do one or two more. So one person actually signed their question with their name. So I assume that means that they want me to read the whole question and tell you who.
All right.
So we had the lovely Oh Snap It's Cat submit a question. And her question is, did your IRL friends ever think it was weird you spent so much time on an online platform? ? Parentheses. Also kisses to all these cute girls.
So cute.
Love you.
So,
Kissy rabbit.
Yeah.
Yes. My in real life friends don't get Twitch. They actually sometimes make fun of the fact that I stream, thinking that it's like, it's like all fun and games and it's just a joke. But like, what they don't realize is like, yo, that fucking hurts my feelings.
Yeah.
Like they don't understand like what I've done on Twitch. I've like, grown a community. I've made a lot of friends. It's not just something you take really lightly. Yeah. So it's like, because they already have that mentality, and like I hear it when they say those comments, like the tone, in my head it's just like, I don't even want to waste my time trying to convince them of what I have. It's not worth it. And I'm fine with that. I've learned to like come to those terms and just accept it for what it is.
Yeah, you don't have to convince everyone to like you. You don't have to convince everyone to like the things you like. I agree.
Exactly.
Yep.
I agree.
I'm lucky that I had a solid group of IRL friends that actually supported me at the beginning of my Twitch journey. Like they were all for it. They thought it was really cool. They were in like the league games with me and stuff like that. But like one of the people that mattered the most is my best IRL girlfriend. She's pretty hard-headed when it comes to like political issues. So like she brought up that it was such a weird discussion between us, but she brought up the fact of like, okay, this is like a whole nother thing, we won't get into it, but like the rich, she is a strong believer that the rich should not be allowed to get richer, and that's fair. I respect that, right? But then she brought in like streamers into the discussion. I'm like, but I stream on Twitch. And she's like, yeah, but like, do you think Valkyrie still deserves her donations? I'm like, yes, it's a form of support. And like, we just went into a whole argument about it, and now I'm just like, what do you think about me? That it's like, it's weird, you know what I mean? So it's like, oh man, it was just a painful conversation because she's my best girlfriend, right? Like, so it was just like, I feel kind of hurt by this,
Yeah, I think it's always interesting because a lot of folks that don't use like streaming and social media too much, they're like, how could you spend so much time on that? And I'm like, how could you spend so much time at Starbucks? Like, what the hell are you talking about? Everyone has their time that they put into things.
Yeah.
Why did you just spend 6 hours building a Gundam model? Why did you just spend 12 hours playing a video game? Like,
exactly, yeah.
Because you like it, and that's what you're interested in. Like, hello, what the hell are you doing? God, drives me crazy. What about you, Evelyn? Have you your IRL friend situation?
I haven't. Well, I'm like, okay, I used to have like a couple IRL friends that knew about my Twitch. It wasn't really a good experience. At first they were like very supportive, and then I modded them. But then there came like a sense of entitlement, and it just didn't seep well into the stream. And then like after that, even before that, I didn't want people that I knew IRL to follow my stream because I prefer to keep it separate,
Yeah.
Like I remember one time my cousin he posted on my stream link on Facebook, and then like I had somebody kind of like indirect or kind of like dox me. He was like, "Oh, you're Evelyn. You're from so and so college, right?" And then I was like, I didn't know if they were being obtuse or if they were like kind of trying to mess with me. But after that, I was just like, privacy is a huge concern of mine, and I think if I can keep these two spaces separate, I think there would be less potential drama involved. You know. Mm-hmm. That's just in my experience, but I've
That's
heard like
true.
good experiences for people that do share their IRLs, like friends, and they know that they stream and stuff. But in my situation, it didn't really work well. Mhm.
Yeah. So my story is like this weird hybrid of the things you said, but then also a bad thing. So my friends were very aware, like my friends, that a couple of years ago around here, a lot of friends I made because of my ex moving down here, and then through like school, but they were all like peripheral. They would ask me like, "Hey, what are you up to? I heard you were like doing some online stuff or streaming or whatever." I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing that." Like, "Oh well, what's the link? I want to be able to watch sometimes." Like, "Oh sure." And so we had a little like group me chat. I've since gotten rid of group me. And in addition to like tweeting and pinging Discord, I would also send my link into that group me chat and be like, "Hey guys, I'm live."
Mhm.
And out of the like 10 or 12 of them, 2 of them, besides my roommate, would ever come. And I was like, "What? I thought you wanted to support me. Do you hate me? Like, do you violently despise me? Like, why did you offer and then not do it?" And that totally wraps back to the DMs thing. Like, don't feign interest because you think it's the right thing to do or you think it's morally upstanding. Have interest. Dear Lord. Like, it's super frustrating. And again, that just goes all the way back to friendship is work, friendship is effort, and you got to put it in. It's a responsibility. So, with that said, I think we'll do the last very quick question. And there are more questions on here, so I may ping y'all if you ever want to come back and talk about some of this stuff. There's some good questions on here. But the last one, very, very simple, but very deep if you want it to be. How are all of you right now after this show and dealing with everything? How are you? How are you feeling? How are you doing? So I'll start with Helen.
To be honest, this past week has been really good. I've been actively been working on my mental health, so I'm like, okay, what can I do to like get out of that mindset? So in terms of distraction, I've been actually, like doing commissions. The thing is, when I do work on commissions, it's stuff that I enjoy working on. So it's like it gives me a reason, get up and get about my day and be productive. And that's been a really nice change recently, especially with like COVID going on, and like I actually wasn't able to physically go into work, just at home all the time. Well, now I'm actually, making use of this time, and it's been great. That's why this past week especially has been much better. So I'm thankful for that.
I'm glad to hear that.
That's super good to hear. That makes me super duper happy.
Me too.
What about you? What about you, Nurri? How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm just kind of annoyed at my head injury. I'm just waiting for it to like hurry up and heal, but it's a head injury, so you can't really. Yeah, that's so annoying though, because I like doing things. You know what I mean? Oh man. But after this stream, it was nice and chill. Like I felt very good after it, because like I mentioned, my stream, I try to keep it very upbeat and positive vibes and stuff like that, and I felt really bad after yesterday's stream because like my head was feeling it only 1 hour in, and I'm like, oh my god, this makes me so sad. But it's just nice to be able to chill and still be on a stream in a way, but with like-minded individuals, like a like-minded chat, like a very accepting bubble of nice people. It's nice. I feel good right now.
Good. That's super good to hear. And what about you, Evelyn? How are you, Evelyn?
What's with that face, Rob? Okay, Rob, I will say that when I first joined this podcast, I'd literally just woken up like a half an hour ago prior. But I made it. Like, I don't know what happened to my phone. I had to set an alarm. The alarm didn't go off. But anyways, I'm happy to be here, even though I was very anxious at first to be here. I think this is like the second podcast that I've been on Twitch overall. So once again, trying to like step out of my comfort zone. So as much as I was kind of nervous, like being here and talking in a public, I mean, I know I stream and I talk like, but that's like with my own community and like
it's different.
It's different. So, but your community is like nice and wholesome and sometimes trolly, but I like that because mine's like that too. So I was like, okay, you know what? I have a good feeling about this, and it's a good way to come out of my shell. And so now I did. I'm feeling good about it. I appreciate the experience here. So
I'm super extra glad to hear that. I'm glad y'all are mostly on the up and up. You know, I've already told Nurri several times that I'm sending those healing waves for her head injury. Yeah, I mean, I've had a persistent back issue for a long time, so trust me, I know like how annoying it is when it hurts.
Yeah.
And especially when you literally there's nothing you could do. Like you can't stretch your head, so it's like nothing you could do about it. All right, so with that said, thank you guys for chat for all the questions that you had. We will probably come back to this on a future episode, and I will invite these amazing, powerful, enigmatic, charismatic, beautiful women onto the show again because they are super awesome and supportive. I still remember my first interactions with each of you, and everything was positive every single time. So thank you for always being super great. If you guys don't know, chat, who these amazing folks are, you got to type !SOS. There's a link that will get you to all of their links, but in the upper left we have DoomsdayGal, Miss Helen. In the upper right we have Nurri, Miss Nurri, and in the bottom left we have SistarEvelyn, Miss Evelyn. Thank you all so much for coming out here. This was super duper productive. It felt really, really extra amazingly good. And the thing I appreciate the most, outside of all of us being able to articulate our thoughts, which can be tough, you're all very open. And I think that's a really important thing. And keep that in mind for the future when you go on other people's streams as well. Openness, honesty, and genuity are the most important things. And you all have that. So thank you for that, and I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
yeah.
So if there's any parting words, we'll go the other way. We'll start with Evelyn. Any parting words? Shout yourself out, whatever you want to do.
Thanks for having me on this podcast. I enjoyed being here, and
I like that boulder. That is a nice
yeah, that's all I want to say.
Sweet,
Epic
and you
gifted a
are
tier
a
1
sub
sub
now.
to
Thank you,
SistarEvelyn.
Evtech, for
They
gifting a
have
sub
given
to
9
Evelyn.
subs in the
There you go.
All right,
Love it.
Nurri, your turn.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you again for having. Thank you for having me on your show. Like that was actually really humbling when you were like, "Yo, you want to join this?" Okay. Anyways, I hope someone did learn something in chat. That is ultimately, I think, the goal that I had coming on here too. But yeah, it was nice talking to everyone.
Awesome. Good to hear. All right, Miss Helen, please wrap it up for us.
Thank you for giving me the chance to really get out of my comfort zone. I really enjoyed this podcast. I think it's such a really important conversation to have. And the fact that when I saw the guest list and the host, I was like, yeah, this is it. And I knew it was going to be good. So I'm really, really happy. And I can't wait to come back on. So yeah.
My heart. Well, again, thank you all so much. We'll wrap it up here. I'll talk to chat for a few minutes, and there's another really, really cool streamer streaming right now that does stuff for mental health. He's doing a donation drive, so if y'all have time and you want to stick around and help with the raid too, that'd be super awesome. But if you got things to do or you got to eat, no problem. Thank you again so much. Chat, can we have some peepo claps and regular claps for our 3 amazing, awesome, well-articulated guests? Thank you so much for being here. And we will do this again sometime soon, I'm sure. So look out for that. All right, y'all. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday.
As
Oh,
a token
God.
of my
All right. Later, y'all.
Bye.